Hey all, my name is Paul Borosky and I am the owner of Quality Business Plan. And for this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up where I left off for mastering pro forma financial projections, a step-by-step guide of understanding business plan financials. And in this video, we're going to be talking about step 3, which are startup costs or expansion costs. So again, the way the video is going to play out is first and foremost going to go ahead and give you all a little bit of background about me, who I am, what I do, and why I do it. And then after that, we're going to dive into step 3 and talk about startup costs and expansion costs and how they're going to tie into your pro forma financial projections. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and zip through this little presentation. As promised, a little bit about me. Again, Paul Borosky, doctoral candidate, MBA, as well as owner of Quality Business Plan and Quality Business Consultant. I am a professional writer, specifically a business plan writer. So if y'all want to avoid all the fun and excitement, trials and tribulations, growth opportunities of writing your own business plan, feel free to pick up the phone, give me a call, send me a text, send me email. My contact information is right here. I would be delighted to write a business plan for you. I am also a published author on Amazon.com. Check out some of my books there. They're focused on business plan writing as well as understanding financial statements. And then finally, I am an adjunct professor and subject matter expert in both business and finance. So if you do need some help with those pesky financial projections, business plans ready to go, but those numbers are keeping you up at night, I'd be delighted to do your financial projections for you. Again, pick up the phone, give me a call, send me a text, send me an email. Be delighted to help. And enough about me. Let's go ahead and talk about the star of the show, which is mastering pro forma financial projections, specifically startup costs and expansion costs. Again, for this video, I am using my advanced pro forma financial projection template. If you do want to purchase it, it is online, and the link is displayed above. But what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and create your own a section where you're going to be able to list your startup costs. Or keep in mind, you can also do this for expansion costs as well. So it doesn't matter if it's startup costs or expansion costs, the structure and the strategy are going to be the same. Now, when I start the sections for my startup costs or expansion costs, I do it a little bit differently as compared to everybody else. First thing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break up how this expansion or the startup is going to be funded. For example, in this example, I'm saying that we are going to fund the startup with $25,000 in equity investment, and we're going to have a $75,000 loan, and that's going to give us a total startup cost of $100,000. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to then use this area down here, and I'm going to make sure that all of my costs, when the total's up, equals $100,000. So now I'm showing that, yes, I've got equity investment. Yes, I'm taking out a loan. I'm able to show the percentages of the $25,000 here, the $75,000 here. And then I'm also able to show all those funds are allocated. The next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use categories for my startup costs. Yes, we can go ahead and we can identify how much each chair is going to be. We can identify each bar stool and then low top table and then high top table, or for a blower and then a trimmer and then a lawnmower. I mean, we can go ahead and itemize all of our startup cost needs. However, that list is going to be huge, and if we vary from that list, if we instead of buying 2 trimmers, we buy a trimmer and we buy a blower, well, now we've got explaining to do. A better strategy that I use when I'm working with my clients is I'm going to use categories when I'm allocating my funds for startup or expansion. So again, we've got our $100,000. That's our pot that we need to divvy up. And the sections that I like to break it out into, in the first section I always start off is my build out. If you're going to have an office, if you're building a restaurant, if you have any kind of build out going on, what you're going to want to do is you're going to allocate your funds right here. Your build-out funds are going to be depreciated a little bit differently, and that's why I've got that line right here. If you don't have the initial build-out, then of course you're going to either put a 0 there, or you're just not going to put anything. You're just going to leave it blank. The next line right here is going to be your working capital. Now, your working capital, what that means is that's how much money you want in your checking account day one. And that money is going to be used to keep the lights on, to pay your salary, and to pay your employees, and just to keep operations going. Buy inventory if you need to buy inventory after you start. So those are the funds that you're going to be using in operations, and you definitely want to have some form of working capital. One of the number one reasons for an organization to go under, especially startups, is they don't allocate enough funds for working capital. So make sure you have your funds available for working capital. However, your working capital is always the last line that I always include. I use this what's called a plug number. That is the number that I use to make sure that my startup cost equals my investment in my investment. The next section is going to be equipment. Again, I'm not going to itemize each stove or each lawnmower or anything like that. I'm just going to put into a lump sum of equipment. Now, if I've got several big purchases, I might have just miscellaneous equipment, then I'll put equipment. And then if I'm going to have a vehicle, I'm going to put a vehicle here, and I'm going to go ahead and allocate the funds. So the large items like that, I'm going to go ahead and allocate separately. But typically, I'm going to lump that into just equipment. The next section I like to use is going to be your furniture and decor. And your furniture and decor, those are going to be, again, those are going to be depreciated a little bit differently as compared to your equipment. So that's why I put it down here. But anywhere in the blue is where you can go ahead and you can start adding other categories as well. Underneath this, these are some really general areas. You're going to want your advertising for your startup costs, because if you're going to start an organization, you need to build brand recognition before you open those doors. You want to build anticipation for your services to come about, and that's where your advertising in your startup costs is going to come from. Your inventory is pretty straightforward. If you're going to have a convenience store and you don't have any inventory, well, guess what? You're going to have a problem. So you definitely need to go ahead and have inventory. But if, again, these align anywhere in the darker blue cells, you can change. Or if you're creating your own model, then skip that if you don't need it. Some other sections that I've got included in here is going to be your office supplies. I like to break that out separately, your office equipment and supplies for startup. You get your computers, your POS system, and you're going to need some paper, pencils, paper clips, and so on. And then finally, don't forget the small stuff. There's a lot of nuances that people forget when they're doing the expansion costs or your startup costs. And one of them is going to be your licenses. You are going to have licenses. Make sure to include those, whether it's a business license or such. And then finally, I like to include a miscellaneous. There's no way you're going to identify every category that you're going to be doing for your startup or your expansion. It's not possible. So you want a catch-all, and your catch-all is going to be your miscellaneous. All right, so once you're done with this, if you're using my financial model, then the next thing you want to do is you want to clean this up, and you want to get rid of all this blank space. And the way you're going to do that, the last thing you're going to want to do is, after you're done with allocating your funds, you're going to take a look at this bottom number, and in this situation, it's $65,000. You want to then go ahead and take that $100,000 that you have for your investment, and you want to subtract what your total is right now. So you take the $100,000 up here, then you'll subtract the total right now that you have, and that's going to give you $35,000. That remaining money is what I put into my working capital. So that's, again, what I said is called a plug number, and that's how you're going to structure that. The final step that you're going to do in order to clean this up is you want to hide all of the lines that are not included in the usage of your startup costs. So you want to go ahead and hide all the subtotals and all the section headers. Whoops. You want to go ahead and hide that information. And then same thing right here. You want to go ahead and hide this. So we're going to go ahead and hide that. And we're just going to keep going down and keep hiding anywhere that we don't have a title and a dollar amount. And so we'll get down here. We'll hide this. And then we do this one more time. Hide it right here. And then this final line, we're going to hide it here. And then the last step to make sure this is all nice and clean is you're going to go ahead and highlight everything here. And then you're going to uncolor it. And now you've got yourself a nice, clean startup opportunity. And the final thing that you can do is you can go ahead and insert a chart. Really simple to do. You're just going to highlight all of your line items. You're then going to go ahead and go to Insert, Recommended Charts, and I'll just pick any chart, and I usually pick that chart. And the next thing what you're going to want to do is you're going to go ahead and change the chart type, and then here is where I like to go, and I like to use my pie chart. So I'll click a pie chart, and then this one right here, and then I'll go ahead and just change this to a startup cost. And then I'll just double click this chart right here, open up this chart. So I'll click right here, and then I'll go to angle, pie expansion. I like to go ahead and separate my pies. So we'll click on that, and then we'll go pie expansion, explosion. And then you see how each pie section is now separated, and then the only thing left to do is to go ahead and start moving some of these little numbers out. And once we do that, it gives us a nice clean look. So that's how you're going to be able to go ahead and create your startup cost, clean it up, and create a pie chart that you can use in your business plan showing your startup costs or your expansion costs, whatever suits your needs. All right, hopefully this information was helpful. So let's go ahead and wrap it up and sum it up. Hopefully this information was helpful in mastering your pro forma financial projections. If you are interested in purchasing the template that I used in this video, you can just go to this link right here. And the template that I used was my advanced financial template version. And again, you can purchase it on this link. If you want a more basic template, I also offer a basic version of the template that I just used for this example. And you can, again, purchase that template right here for the financial model. If you don't want to mess around with templates and you just want somebody to do your financial projections for you, feel free to contact me. Check out my prices page. Love to write you a business plan, of a custom business plan. Love to do your financial projections for you. Completely up to you. Just let me know if I can be of service. And then finally, let's wrap it up with tutorials. If you want some more tutorials on better understanding or mastering your pro forma financial projections, just go to this link right here. All right, hopefully this information was helpful. Go out, make a little bit of money, and have a great day.